Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Capricorn, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of September 2024. I hope you are well. I'm using the Night Sun Tarot for you today, so because there's a bit of nudity on these cards, if something comes up that I think needs to be covered up, I will do that. So that's what I'm doing if you see me do that, just simply because the video ends up getting struck down for falling afoul of YouTube policy and whatnot, and we want to avoid that. So while we're on the matter of housekeeping, if the reading resonates and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That is the first link in the description box. Second link in the description box is to my private community, the Order of the Phoenix, over on the Circle platform. You can also get access to all of the extended content for no extra cost over there, beyond the membership fee, and hang out with an extraordinary group of people. So if that sounds like it's something that might be of interest to you, you know what to do with either or both of those links. Now, just one more thing before we get started. You're actually the second sign that I'm reading for today. The sign before you was Libra, and as some of you may know, I do a little meditation before I start any reading at all. And the message that came through prior to the Libra reading was one that felt highly collective in nature. And let's not forget that Libra's currently where we find the South Node sitting, right? And that transit is coming to an end at the end of this year. So often the things that have been afflicting Libras have some sort of wider collective applicability, and this felt the same. The message was August is the month that changed everything. Now, what that means for each individual sign is obviously going to be a little different depending on your circumstances and whatnot. But regardless of where your South Node sits, the South Node is currently in the sign of Libra. And so September is going to see the consequences of the things that changed in August for everyone, right? Not necessarily sudden, shocking, the right turns or whatever, but certainly a move towards something, for sure. The meditation that I did before I started your reading, well, I shall just explain. It felt like just a permanent rolling of eyes. That's the best way that I can put it. And I also saw a wall that had a crack in it, and the message was to keep battering at the wall. Usually my advice to people would be stop trying to batter the wall down with your head, go do something more productive, right? Find a different way around. But with this one, it really is pushing through something that needs to come down, right? And whether you need to take a sledgehammer to it or your head or whatever, that's what you need to do. But it does feel to me like it's going to be a highly frustrating month. Now, with that out of the way, let's actually get some cards on the table and see what they have to say. So, can I have 3 cards for Capricorn, please? The first card, Wheel of Fortune. Current energy, please, for Capricorn. We have the 2 of Pentacles. That is, in and of itself, a Capricorn card. Ooh. And what do we have? We have the 10 of Swords. Now, that's interesting because we have 2 10s. 10 of Swords and 10 in the Major Arcana. Both of them speaking to... Well, this one speaks to an end, a completion of sorts, for sure, right? And whilst the Wheel of Fortune does not speak to an end, because actually there are 11 cards that follow it in the Major Arcana, the Wheel of Fortune is an important checkpoint. I've explained it sometimes like the save point in a game. Like once you've got to a certain point, it doesn't matter what happens thereafter. Like you'll come back to the same place, and it won't be the beginning of the game, right? So we have 2 10s. We also have 2 Jupiter cards. Now, I think what's going to be most frustrating for you this month is, I forget what they are off the top of my head, but I know that Saturn is involved in a lot of transits. Actually, relatively passively, I think. A lot of things are coming into contact by square, by conjunction, whatever, with Saturn. And this eye rolling, this frustration, this, for fuck's sake, why can't anything go in a straight line? I want you to hold on to this thought and this thought alone, Capricorn. And that is, everything that is happening is for your higher good, right? And this is not toxic positivity. It's happening for your higher good, but you need to evolve out of who you are to become who you will be, that will go on and do these things that are much more Jupiterian in nature. I mean, the nature of Saturn is to restrict, constrict, slow down. You know, it puts the value in the hard work, and this is something that Capricorns innately understand, particularly if you're Capricorn ascendant, right? Saturn is your entire chart ruler. Whereas Jupiter wants to expand, you know, it wants joy, it wants to broaden its horizons, it wants to increase rapidly. And these two, they may have already done it actually. They're coming into contact with each other in some sort of way. I forget what it is. Anyway. But we've got double Jupiter here on the table, right? So Jupiter is trying to inflate something. Your natural inclination is to restrict, pull back, be cautious about something. And these two energies are grinding against each other. And I think that you will be acutely aware of that grinding over the course of this month. Now, the card that we have at the bottom of the deck is the Page of Pentacles, which I am taking to be, you know, a confirmation of what I've been talking about here. I didn't actually know which card it was until I pulled it up there. Taking it as a confirmation of what I'm saying, which is whether you see it or whether you don't, there is something new that is happening here. Now, when it's something new, when the something new is us, it's much more difficult to perceive than a new job, you know, promotion opportunities, even the idea of a new business or a new home or something like that, right? There's something concrete. The nature of what is happening to you at the moment is something that feels much more expansive than your material existence right now. And that's the important thing to note about this. I'm going to get some clarifiers out, and then we will ponder and muse and cogitate on what this could all mean for you. So tell me about the Wheel of Fortune for Capricorn, please. Wheel of Fortune. Right. We have the Ace of Swords appearing on its side. Fucking hell, what is all of it? I'm not taking all of these cards, Capricorn, I'm not doing it. She says, talking to Capricorn. We will, however, have a look at them. High Priestess, the Emperor, Ten of Cups, Page of Pentacles. Repeating cards. And either a clash of the active masculine and the passive feminine, or a coming together of the two. Acceptance and control. These are polar opposites, right? It's a dynamic that is very difficult to balance. But there we have the Ten of Pentacles. Kind of looking at this from a collective level, for you, it could well be your family and the effect there, you know, thereupon. That's the word that I was looking for. What do we have here? Wheel of Fortune, repeating cards. We have the Three of Pentacles, also a Capricorn card, looking for people with whom we can build, essentially. But then we have the Eight of Cups. It's like one part of the energy is pulling you this way, the other part of the energy is like that way, over there. And the difficulty in reconciling them all seems to be where the frustration is, because at one minute it may seem like the direction forward is this way. This is the way that we have to go. And then literally within the same day, it's like, well, actually, here are all of these things over here, and you must prioritize. And that's going to be very difficult. I don't think there's a perfect way to do it, Capricorn, because I think it is the experience of doing it in the first place that is actually a teaching moment for you, rather than whatever it is that you're dealing with. But let's get this Wheel of Fortune. It's done it again. Do you know what? We're gonna take those cards. We're gonna take them. We're gonna put them there. I'm not gonna go through them tediously one by one, but there's a sort of picture that's building here. Tell me about the Two of Pentacles, please, for Capricorn. Two of Pentacles for Capricorn. The Hermit. See a card of Virgo. Energy of Virgo in the Major Arcana. Fuck my life, man. What is this? Okay. Eight of Pentacles, King of Wands. Right, I was going to take the Magician, but I'm actually not now, but I am again going to show you what we've got. Magician, Ace of Wands, King of Swords, Queen of Pentacles, there you are again, Capricorn, Page of Swords, Queen of Wands, the Sun, the Three of Cups. Do you know what's starting to become really clear about this? Is it comes down to this competing information, competing priorities, competing directions of travel. Somewhere in the clusterfuck of all of this energy, you have to find your way forward, right? And there's magic to be found here. Like I said, I don't feel like there's one route that is the right route. I think all routes eventually teach you what you need to know. But likely it's going to feel incredibly frustrating, if only because it is so very difficult to create the structure that is so important for Capricorns. Tell me about this Ten of Swords. Where's this Ten of Swords here for Capricorn, please? Right, King of Swords in reverse, Queen of Pentacles in reverse, and the Two of Cups at the bottom of the deck. So it may well be that a lot of what is happening isn't necessarily centered on you too much. It could be centered around relationships, whether they're business relationships, work colleagues, family, friends, whatever. And it could well be husband and wife and all that kind of dynamic too. The introduction of the Two of Cups is sort of pointing us towards the fact that there's more than just you being affected here. And I think we saw that in the Ten of Cups, which has chosen to come out as well. And this is one of the more complicating dynamics that's being thrown into the mix here for you. So we start with the Wheel of Fortune. Like I said, it's a Jupiterian card. It tends to be a card that I read largely the same way, whether it shows up in the reverse or in the upright, simply because it is a wheel. And although we may perceive at points that it is upright, and then we can take from that that our fortunes are improving, the reality is it just really depends on what angle you're looking at the wheel for you to make that kind of value judgment about it. Whatever happens, regardless, the wheel is always turning. And what was up is now down, what was down is now up, and that constant revolution is in play. It does speak, though, about something having been put in motion relatively recently for you, and because this is your recent past, I would say this is sometime in the last, at the latest 6 weeks back, but it could well be this morning when you got up, right? Something has been set in motion here, the extent of which is not going to be revealed to you for a while. And first and foremost, because I do think that there are a lot of things that need to be sorted out this month. There are a lot of things that simply nothing is just... It's kind of got the hallmark about it of Mercury retrograde, except that we spent virtually the entirety of August in Mercury retrograde. With the 2 weeks on the lead up and the 2 weeks on the way out, where the energy is ramping up and then, ramping down. We would usually associate that time with, difficulties over contracts and nothing going right, car problems, all those, sort of thing, all these Mercury ruled things, transportation, contracts, that sort of stuff. And you may or may not have had some of that going on in your life. But the energy of September then almost becomes a little bit more frustrating because we don't have so much of that we can blame, essentially, or at least just kind of assign responsibility to. The shadow period for September will see Mercury stationing direct and then kind of spooling up, but it'll be halfway through September before we're free of that. This is different, though. This feels like the interplay between Saturn and Jupiter on you, where you want to pick a direction and you want to go in it. And Jupiter is definitely supporting that, but Jupiter seems to be also, in some way or another, swelling the issues that must be dealt with first. And these are not straightforward. These aren't simply material issues. This is not something that just money will fix, or, a morning spent writing angry emails will fix, anything like that. It's just like one thing after another after another. Well, maybe this has just been your experience of August altogether. But the important thing is that something has been set in motion. Now, again, it's not that you can't see it, because I do think for you Capricorns, a lot of you, very intuitive creatures as you are, I think you're massively underrated intuitives. Something Something's going on. You can feel that tremor in the force, if you will. But what it means at this point is very unclear, as represented by the Ace of Swords. So there you are, the Devil, showing up very strongly in your own reading, actually, and that's a good thing. But then we have these competing directions of control and acceptance. This very discerning, very, very fine balance between the two. You know, what is yours to do? What can you control? What can you be in charge of? And what can you now demonstrate the grace to accept is simply not going to go the way that you would like it to go. And it's that constant question that seems to be being asked over and over again by you, and of the situations, while you're trying to make sense of what is happening. We've got the Ten of Cups there. So this is not a simply you, Capricorn. There are effects for everyone around you, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's work colleagues, employees, possibly something like that, where you're trying to, like I said, weigh up all of these competing interests, these competing directions, these competing priorities, trying to find the right way forward for you. Page of Pentacles. Trying to find the value, not just in what you are doing, but in the fucking experience that you're having right now. It's like, why is this happening? What is the point of this? Jupiter and Saturn, both in their own way, it seems to me, are pushing growth on you. Now, an important thing that we have not mentioned, and here is probably a good point to bring it in, is the fact that although Aquarius has been the home sign for Pluto since January this year, I think it was January the 20th it moved into Aquarius. Pluto is retrograde currently, and by the time you watch this, likely will have retrograded back into your sign. Now, he's only there for a brief sojourn. He's there from the beginning of September to, I think it's about the 19th of November. But during this time, this 6 weeks or so period, he will be sitting on the anaretic degree of Capricorn, the destroyer degree, the most powerful degree within the sign. And there is no way that anybody under the sign of Capricorn, whether you are a sun, moon, ascendant, even perhaps Mars and Venus, right, will have not felt the transformative effect of Pluto during the last 16 years. Right? 2008 is when Pluto moved into Capricorn. Now, because he's been bobbing backwards and forwards between Aquarius and Pluto, this will be his I don't know. When he leaves your sign, it will be the third attempt, almost, that he's had to move into Aquarius. So however many times he's left your sign and come back, right? The biggest shove, the biggest change will happen, I think, or will at least be instigated during this time for you. And that means that everything that you've learned in the last 16 years likely is going to be put to the test. Now, I do not feel here, and I actually have to say I do not see here, that this is a time that is going to be characterized by dramatic crisis for you. Oh my God, I've lost my house. Oh my God, I've lost my car. Oh my God, I've lost my job. Something like that. More, it seems to be in the nature of there is a bigger direction that you are trying to move in. And there are 101 hands, like when the girl falls down the hole into the oubliette in the labyrinth, right, that are grabbing at you, right, up, down, you don't really know which direction you're going in, that are either slowing you down, frustrating you, or making you second guess the direction that you are trying to move in. You're also trying to do the best thing by a number of people, not just you. And all of this is making everything so fucking chaotic and complicated that it's difficult to notice. It's difficult to work out which thing you're supposed to be focusing on at this time. You know, the whole of September, pretty much, Pluto will be sat at this degree. And here we have the card of coping, which is what this is for me, right? The Two of Pentacles. Now, generally speaking, this card actually, I think, is coping very well. We've got somebody who looks like they're using the Pentacles as fucking skateboard or a surfboard or something like this, and it's like, yeah, I'm ready, bring the wave, I can deal with it. Because as we know, the way that Saturn ruled people get through stuff is to just keep putting one foot in front of the other and cope, right? We're just like, right, fixate on the outcome and drive ourselves forwards as hard as possible so we can achieve this thing. And we do see that with the Eight of Pentacles. The thing is, I think that your attention is getting pulled 15 different directions. There's something about this that is harder than it should be at this time, for reasons that feel completely undefinable. It's just harder to do it than it should be. We've got the Hermit here, which is a card of, it's a card of sort of solitary introspection often, but I don't feel like you're going to get as much of an opportunity to introspect as much as you would like to try and divine the right course of action for yourself. Because the King of Wands is here, banging his wand, going, we have to do things. It's almost like, we see they both have staffs in their hand here. I know this is supposed to be a wand, right? But they're both staffs of swords. The Hermit wants to go in. The Hermit wants to look for the answers within. The Hermit wants to commune with the star, which is actually here on this in this lamp here. He wants to connect with his highest goals, dreams, hopes, aspirations. He also wants to ask how it is that he gets there. And usually with that Hermit, it's going in. It's like, so what is stopping me from going in this direction? The King of Wands, however, is very impatient over here, and he's like, I want to do stuff. I have to do stuff. If I'm not moving, if I'm not timing something, then I lose my power. And in the middle of it all, there is the grind, the graft, the gotta just keep going, one foot in front of the other, non-stop, non-stop. Now I'm going to pull out the Triple Goddess Tarot here. Ask for something between this 2 and 8 of Pentacles. Right. So here's the thing. Right, these cards are all pretty much the right way up. Some of them are upside down. The Ten of Pentacles is instability. When it shows up in the reverse. When it's in the upright, it's everything that the Ace of Pentacles is trying to work towards becoming, right? It is longevity. I've said before, I feel like the Ten of Pentacles represents heritage and legacy, right? It's building something really strong that will last. Here, we've had the achievement of that, but for some reason there is something seismic that is threatening the stability of what you have built. Now, it would be very easy to fixate on this if you had the mental space to do it, but because there are so many things that have competing priority here, this doesn't feel like it's something that you can spend as much time musing on as you might ordinarily, as you would feel comfortable doing, right? There's a bit of instability. What's my plan for the future, right? How do I adapt? How do I be flexible about this? How do I choose a new direction? But it's like this thing's grabbing you, and then this thing's grabbing you, and then this thing's grabbing you, and you're like, fuck, just screaming at the sky. But I do think that this is a blessing in disguise, because you now have 4 tens on the table. We've got double Wheel of Fortune that is really ramming home the fact that what is happening here is supposed to happen, right? The wheel is turning and you are being caught up in its motion. We've got the Ten of Pentacles in the reverse, and we have the Ten of Swords in the upright. This conflict between going within, withdrawing, looking for the answers internally, and getting out there and doing things is going to be something that needs to be constantly balanced over the course of the month. Because I think there's a distinct possibility that you could lose yourself in this month if you don't practice that. And it is boring, it is tedious. I feel a little bit claustrophobic actually while I'm talking about it. I just feel like everything's kind of pressing in a little bit. It's not a month where we feel powerful. But this instability, this shaking, that's going on here around the area of your stability, your security, perhaps your job, perhaps your home, land, property. These are things, business. These are things that the Ten of Pentacles represents. What I'm trying to work out, what I'm trying to feel my way around here, is whether these are pre-shocks of a bigger earthquake that is to come. Pluto's going to be in sign for 10 weeks, not 6 weeks. Oh, divvy. Sorry, I just realised I mathed wrong there. Yeah, what I'm trying to work out is whether this is the issue in amongst a million other issues, or whether these are just the pre-shocks to something bigger that's coming along the way. Let's have a look. King of Swords and King of Wands. Six of Pentacles in the reverse at the bottom of the deck. And the instability is what it is. And the instability isn't in one thing. It's the collateral effect of all of the things feeling less stable than you would like them to. Now, the King of Swords is your decision-making process. It is indeed your judgment, your ability to weigh up a situation and make a good decision, leaving aside emotion on what needs to happen next. But here's the King of Wands. We've got the King of Swords with the Hermit. We've got the King of Wands with the King of Wands. And here's what I feel, Capricorn. Bearing in mind that the King of Swords here has shown up in the reverse for September, I think that it is possible that some of you may make a decision that you later regret. Not too much later, I mean we're literally talking within a few weeks. You come to regret. Now, this is going to be for one of a number of reasons. The first being possibly that you did not have the time or the mental space to be able to weigh up all of the options to sufficiently, right? And we've already talked about how that's going to be very much the signature of the month for you. The second is a realization that a decision that you made came from a place of something that is changing within you, something that was previously stable but now is a little less so, right? So perhaps you made a default decision in the way that, you know, of the like of which, you know, you have possibly made before. But because the circumstances have changed, maybe you have changed, like what was previously something that could be relied upon as a good decision turns out latterly not to be. Because the Ten of Swords, although this is one of the better interpretations of the Ten of Swords, always involves a certain amount of pain, ending, discomfort. At the very least, we can characterize it that way. He is stood with his head up held high here, and I think that that's an important detail to notice here in this card. He is, however, run through with swords. It's almost like something is backfiring, or something is not quite working out the way that you had anticipated it doing, and there's a sting there with that. Okay? Possibly because it's around your judgment. Normally, a part of you that is, because you're cautious and because you weigh things up, is something that you have been able to rely on. The fact that the head is held up high and you are still standing means this is not the end of you in any kind of meaningful sense, but it is the end of a certain chapter, because there's a realization that comes here. Maybe it is a realization that your judgment is not infallible. Maybe it is a realization that there is such a thing as too much stuff going on, that even a sign as efficient as you will struggle to make decisions under that kind of, in that kind of environment. But it is also a card of completion, endings, things not going forward the way that we would like them to do. You're not down and out, but you're certainly down. by the end of September, because something is going to have to go back to the drawing board in some sort of way. Now remember that the tarot moves in cycles, right? So we go from the ace to the 10 in any given suit, and then we circle back to the ace, right? It was this constant circle of movement throughout the elemental sequences. So how interesting that we should have the Ace of Swords over here, indicating a certain lack of clarity, right? I can't quite get the point of all of this. I don't quite understand. Maybe I've missed the important details back here. And now there are the consequences over here. It's like, what I do like though, is the possibility that what follows from here may actually be, in that beautiful way that cycles work, now the Ace of Swords, right? Something has to be seen that cannot be seen in the fog of everything that's going on in September. And when it emerges what it is, whether it's a mistake at work, whether it's you've not read something properly, whether you've whether you've not proofread something properly, right? But maybe you've not read a contract properly, or maybe you've not read something, or maybe you've not considered all possibilities because there was just so much going on. This King of Swords now is realizing that mistakes were made. This feels to me like bearing responsibility for those mistakes. Owning it, if you will. And this is important because that's a big thing that makes anybody grow. And I've never had an issue with Capricorns. Healthy Capricorns taking responsibility for things. Plenty of issue with unhealthy Capricorns not taking responsibility for things. Anyway, it's the same as every sign, right? This Queen of Pentacles in reverse, though, I find I have an uneasiness about. Because in her upright, your energy, she speaks of self-care, right? Understanding the value of things, innately understanding the value of things, understanding the value of herself, all this sort of stuff. Understanding the importance of investment. Now, showing up here in the way that she is, it makes me feel like possibly the important thing that was missed was something so very important that it either dents your confidence or it shows you in sharp relief how you have not valued something that was incredibly valuable. Like this misstep. Tell me about these two cards. Tarot is incredible. That is the Queen of Pentacles again. In the reverse. So we're doubling up on this message. Like whatever this here is, it feels like it's changing something. It feels like the instability that was felt over here, that for one reason or another, seems to have been permeating right the way through everything that you're doing this month, right? But as we are also aware, is pointing to a bigger growth from you, right? A complete removal from what has been into what will be. But there's something about this here that is showing up where your thinking has been really faulty. And that feels very uncomfortable for you. It feels like something that was not valued should have been, or something's been overvalued that shouldn't have been. In any event, it feels like it's an uncomfortable lesson to be learning this month, but it is a critical one for the next steps moving forwards, because this is a little side quest on the main picture of your life, right? And it's uncomfortable for sure, but it's triggering a huge amount of growth. I talk about the Page of Pentacles, as we see down here, as a card that shows us discovering value for the first time, because it's the start of the court hierarchy. From here we need to move through the knights, we need to move through the queen, and we need to move through to the king to truly embrace that lesson. Now, when the queen is upside down, when the queen now no longer can quite trust herself to make sense of what is valuable or not, or is shown in the moment where her judgment was flawed on the run up to wherever you are right now, then the logical thing to do is to be humble and step back, which is what the Page of Pentacles is here. We're not just stepping back to the Knight of Pentacles, which is kind of moving in a direction anyway, right? It's still part of the river, if you will. But the Page of Pentacles would be getting out of the river and up onto the bank. Hang on, do I know how to swim? Do I understand what is important in this moment? Where have I misapplied my attention? And how do I change everything as a result of this? Because something about this is playing out like self-sabotage. The realization of whatever it is playing out like self-sabotage. It could be realizing that the dynamic between acceptance and control has not been exercised properly, for instance. But this feels like a humble takedown, Capricorn. Now, I don't want you to worry about this, because like I said, this is just 1 month in 12, right? And what's 1 month in 12? What's 1 year in 10? I feel like Capricorns have got a better ability to be able to, right, well, we uniquely understand time, right? And where things are rushed, or things are hurried, or where things are when we don't have a clear set of priorities and a clear set of values to work to, things get missed, things get overlooked. This feels a little bit like sharpening up everything to do with your decision-making process around the idea of things that have value, right? What is worthy of your investment? And if you're not investing in that in the way that you should be, whether it be relationships, whether it be your business, whether it be whatever, there's only a certain amount of time that it will function without the appropriate amount of attention before it starts to fall down. And this is the point where we realise that something has not been adequately maintained, or our attention's been in the wrong way, or wrong direction, whatever. And now there are consequences. But I feel like the consequences here for you are not nearly as severe as they could be, although they smart. And I'm not going to doubt that it smarts a little bit. But it's functioning as a mindset shift, a focus, and you will need that moving forwards. It's very important moving forwards. Alright, I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to go to the extended. You're very welcome to join me either on Circle or Vimeo. Both are possible, and I would be delighted to see you in either place. If neither of those things are your bag, then that's absolutely fine. I would just try not to worry too much, because this is going to happen how it's going to happen. And I think the lesson is the important thing. Not what goes wrong or what goes right. It's what you're learning in the process. And if you can attach yourself to that rather than an outcome, I think that you will get much, much further in this month than otherwise. Like I said, nothing here is crisis, but it stings a little bit. But that sting will motivate you to do something differently, certainly from next month. And that's where the important part of this is, as well as the true understanding of something valuable that you have overlooked or paid too much attention to, Alright, so I shall leave it there. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.